I write only when inspiration strikes. Fortunately, it strikes every morning at 9 o'clock sharp. We are all naturally creative beings, but why is it so hard to find inspiration? It never seems to strike at the right time. You might relate to this story. I began creating YouTube videos when I was 15, and a little while later I ended up dropping out of school and getting a full-time job, and yeah, I just hated school that much. The plan was to become a full-time YouTuber so that I could eventually quit the trade and follow my passions. The only problem was, after a few months of full-time work, I actually lost interest. I gave up on my passions and began to believe that going the safe route was the right choice. Why was that? It was because I couldn't find inspiration and I didn't believe that it came to me. Little did I know that if you always wait for inspiration to strike, it never will. Action is always required. In the beginning of this video, Somerset Maugham stated that he doesn't wait for inspiration to strike, he actually intentionally schedules it into his day. In the story that I just relayed to you in my own life, I lost interest and stopped following my passions because I wasn't getting inspiration. And I believe that only creative people got these inspirational strikes. And for a time I believed that maybe I could be one of those creative people. But after a little while I began to believe that I wasn't. So the first important point that I want to make to you guys today is that everybody can be just as creative as anybody else. And what can we learn from Maugham's words? Number one, action is always required for inspiration to strike. The second is to schedule your creative work in. This is how you get inspired. And 3, grow the inspiration muscle. The basic premises of the first point here is that if you want to be inspired, you have to be intentional. You can't wait for inspiration. You actually have to get the ball rolling yourself. It's kind of like a play button, you know. If you sit down for inspiration, it's like hitting play and then inspiration will eventually strike. The way Maugham does this is by scheduling the action in. He plans ahead of time his intentionality by blocking off a chunk of his day in his calendar. This might sound a little too good to be true, and that's because it kind of is. You actually have to develop this focus over time. This inspired focus is actually kind of like a muscle. You need to keep practicing and keep working on it, and then eventually you can get the desired amount of focus, that desired amount of inspired focus that you originally wanted. Recently I watched one of Thomas Frank's latest videos on YouTube on a similar topic, and he stated that creativity is 1, connecting the dots, and 2, dots are obtained from adventure and exposure. I found these 2 points really helpful in my search for creative inspiration. I don't go out enough, I don't explore new places, I don't go on enough adventures, and I don't read enough books either. From Tom's points, I learned that, well, first off, I need to read more. So now I read in the morning, during breakfast, and then also when I'm about to go to bed. And lately I've been reading the book The Unfair Advantage. It discusses the topics of hard work and luck in success, and so far I can probably say that it's a really good book and I'd recommend it, and I've heard many people recommend it on YouTube and anywhere else, but I can't say yet because I haven't finished it. So reading is a really good way of obtaining these dots that you can connect for creativity, but another way that is really important is going on adventures regularly. Books are great, they are other people's experiences all bundled up in this little thing of paper, but you need to make experiences yourself, and you never know, maybe these experiences in your own life will eventually be read by other people. So to sum it all up, creativity requires inspiration, and inspiration requires action. Now this action can be reading a book, going on your own adventures, and scheduling it into your own day, just being intentional about being inspired. So take Somerset Maugham's advice by scheduling it in, take Thomas Frank's advice by reading more books and going on adventures, but either way, make sure you keep being creative, and I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, a like would be much appreciated. You know, the algorithm loves likes. It seems to promote the videos that have much more likes in front of other people's faces. So if this was put into front of your face, please keep it going into other people's faces, just like it just flies into their face. Just by clicking that button, it's kind of like fuel. You just put it and it goes boom. I'm going to stop there. Also, if you did like this video, you might also like a few other videos on my channel. I'll leave a link to them kind of here somewhere. And you might also like a few videos that are going to come out into the future. And so if you want to watch those, subscribe so you don't miss them. Anyway guys, until next time. Cheers.